Welcome to Arba Robotics Investor and Analyst Day. Now, roundtable discussion with industry experts.
What is slowing down development of fully autonomous vehicle, and when will a shift come? Matt, can you start, please?
Sure, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this panel here today. The autonomous vehicles are a really tough problem, but I'll push back a little bit and say that I don't think that things are really slowing down. You look at Cruise is operating in San Francisco at night. Waymo is expanding. They're operating in mapping in New York City now. Aurora just recently SPAC'd. So I think maybe the essence of the question is, why can't I have one, or why can't I take one yet? Let's break that down a little bit. If we look at the robo-taxi market, they have to solve everything from pickup to drop-off to be a successful business. And those pickups and drop-offs, those are typically in the most complicated areas, like downtowns and airports. And they have to deal with all of those in like heavy weather as well. So and when you throw in the additional aspect of like launching a new city and the infrastructure required in that, you can see why that's being slow to roll out. But I think that the biggest opportunity is in freeways on vehicles that we'll actually own. You know, historically, the markets for personally owned vehicles have focused on the L3 and lower technologies, the driver assist features. Maybe that's the path of least resistance, but I think we have a lot of opportunities in the freeways for full autonomy, and with that we can reach tens to hundreds of millions of people before the end of this next decade. And one last thing I'll make on this is, like, I don't think that we're waiting on any miracle technology. It's not like when the radar field we had developed the theories for adaptive processing for years before the compute capability was there to actually host them. Or things we talk about often like connectivity and you know, extreme amounts of city infrastructure. I don't think we're waiting on that. I think it's just a very hard problem, and we need to keep working it. We need to keep working it and focusing on the safety side so that we can convince ourselves, convince our customers, and ultimately convince the regulatory officials that it is a safe technology.
Gunen, what is the perspective of a commercial car manufacturer for that?
Yeah, thank you. And again, thank you for inviting me. And, you know, we're on caution being a radar lead, so I'm biased toward sensing, of course, but I like to reinforce what Matt just said. I think it's a multidimensional problem and really tough challenge to crack. I think part of it is definitely sensing, and not just, of course, the sensing capability, but how to process and use it, and which pushes also to the compute side. I think I also agree, you know, there's always a question of where will this converge? Will the robo-taxi trickle down to the customers on the retail side or the other way around? So I think, as Matt said, I think it will, more and more feature will be rolled out, and once technology or compute or sensing will be available, then it will step up as it goes. I think one of the major roadblocks is that the retail side is not used to be so fast turning as the AV side, and I think this is what's required, you know, from hardware to sensing to perception, to be able to roll out features to our customers.
Ram, what's your perspective?
Yeah, I think I agree with the former comments, but I think that the main point here is that the autonomous vehicles, they need to be trustworthy. And for that, we need everyone to trust this technology. And in order to get to that point, I think we are still seeing few gaps, especially in the processing and in the sensing of the environment. Because, you know, as good as the algorithm would be, if it doesn't get the good input of what's going on around the vehicle, then the decision-making won't be there. And I think there is a heavy, right now, work on the cameras, but we need more sensors, like the imaging radar, to help with sensing the environment.